Perfect. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our global Nimble community. This is John Farrar, the CEO of Nimble, and I'm super excited to be here today with Brian Moran. Brian and I have been friends for some time, and I've admired him from afar over many years because he's passionate about helping entrepreneurs and marketers navigate small and mid-sized business challenges. And I know that each of you out there in the trenches of the business world are struggling to achieve your passion, plan, and purpose in life. And Brian has been doing this expertly at scale with places like Wall Street Journal, Inc. magazine, and Entrepreneur magazine. And now he's helping small businesses with his new website, smallbusinessedge.com. And so when I thought about building a webinar series about how to be better, smarter, faster at scale for small businesses, Brian came top of mind. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today.
John, it's a pleasure to be here. As you know, I've been a fan of yours since your gold mine days, which we used at Entrepreneur magazine back in the 90s. And this is a thrill. Anytime that I get a chance to talk to business owners about how to run better, smarter, more efficient companies, it's like a dream come true for me. I'm so excited to run through this webinar and to get their feedback and their questions and see how you and I can help them run better companies starting today.
Fantastic. So let's rock and roll. Take us away.
All right. So okay. Oh, let me see.
The right arrow or space bar.
Yep. Oh yeah, I got it. So here's a quick agenda for today and what you can expect from this webinar, which will last about 45 minutes. And it's going to be a little interactive between John and I, but we certainly welcome your questions. So to the right, as Michaela mentioned, there's a question box. Anytime you have a question, just put it in there and we'll leave room at the end of the webcast or webinar to answer your questions. So we have a couple of things we want to cover today in 5 steps to starting or running a successful business. We'll talk about defining your vision and some of the common pitfalls you can avoid by doing so. We want to secure your foundation. We want to help you understand the competitive landscape. I also want to talk about how to be nimble and make changes when you encounter these roadblocks. And what just happened? Okay, there you go. And so this is what you can expect in our presentation today. And like I said, please give us your questions and your comments, and we'll address them at the end. So here we go. 5 steps to starting or running a successful business. John mentioned my background. I spent 25 years helping people run and manage and grow their companies and avoid pitfalls. I did it largely in publishing at magazines like Inc. and Entrepreneur Success, newspapers like the Wall Street Journal, and I also ran my own small business publishing company. Now today at Brian Moran and Associates and my other company, Small Business Edge, we help people just like you run your businesses. So my expectations for today, and I hope everyone has a pen and pad with them, because I'm going to try and give you as many takeaways as possible that you can incorporate into your business literally starting today. So, oh, and I have a special offer for those of you who stick around till the end that you might want to take advantage of. So hopefully we enjoy the ride today. So here are 3 photos. There is a picture of me finishing the New York City Marathon. There's a picture of a rocket being launched into outer space. And there's a picture of a small business couple that own a retail establishment. And the question I have for you is, what do these photos have in common? Now, okay, you don't have to answer it. I'll actually provide the answer for you. And then I'll go into detail as to why I picked these 3 photos. All 3 of these are long journeys that require a lot of prep work and can be very hard in the beginning. Let's face it, starting something new is hard. Change is hard. But in order to be successful, you must be committed. All right. That's the first word that I want you to write down: commitment. You need to be committed to your business. Being motivated is not going to get you where you want to be. If you want to be motivated, you'll run a mile. If you have commitment, you can run a marathon. So let me go into detail a little bit about these pictures. I actually ran 3 marathons in the span of 12 months in 2007, 2008, and I am by no means a marathon runner. But what I am, and I was running my own business at the time, so I equated it a lot with running a business. I knew that in order to be successful, to run 26.2 miles, that there was going to be a lot of training that I'd have to do and a lot of prep work, and I'd have to do research, and I talked to people and actually broke down the marathon into 5 separate races. Now, if any of you know what it's like to run the New York City Marathon, the first mile is 150 feet straight up the Verrazano Bridge. It's the equivalent of running 15 flights of stairs in the first mile. So the cannon goes off and I start running, and I get to the top of the bridge and I feel like my lungs are going to come through my mouth. I am dying. And I think to myself, there's no way I'm going to be able to run 25 more miles. Like, this is insane. And then I remembered, I said, okay, go back to your prep work. You know that the next mile is 150 feet downhill, and that's going to be easier. And then then the whole race gets easier, that you can do this. And I did, and I knew what the obstacles were on my path. I knew when I was going to hit my walls, and I fought through them because I was committed to finishing. And the excitement of actually crossing the finish line. If you run a marathon, you know what I'm talking about. It's a threshold that you will never forget. You'll never forget that moment. The second picture, a rocket being launched into outer space. I actually did some research on this. And do you know that in order to escape the Earth's gravitational pull, a rocket must achieve what scientists call escape velocity of 25,000 miles per hour. So think about the work that goes into launching a rocket into outer space. You can imagine how many men and women work on it for years, going through all of the things that could go wrong and hoping that, planning for things to go right. So, and I remember reading this, a rocket will expend about half of all its fuel in the first couple of minutes. It's like running up the Verrazano Bridge to get enough force to break through the Earth's gravitational pull. However, once it's free, it can move about with minimal fuel to change course. So it's done the hard work, and now it can go about its journey. The last picture is a picture of a typical.
Brian, I want to interject on that analogy.
Okay.
Because I think this is a perfect analogy about relationships as well. Because if you think about it, building a relationship, the initial connection and building the intimacy and trust is not indifferent than the expenditure that you need to get a rocket off the Earth.
Yeah.
But keeping the relationship going is easier if you continue to nurture it over time. So relationships are a lot like the rocket, as is a car. Getting a car to 60 miles an hour is most of the fuel, but after that, it's not that much. And I love that analogy. So keep going.
Yeah. And it's the difference between being committed to it and being motivated. Most people will stop, as they try something new and they say, oh, this is not working, and they give up on it, and they'll never know how close they were to actually succeeding. And this goes for a small business. I wonder how many people knew that a third of all businesses will fail before their second birthday. However, those businesses that survive the first 2 years and actually get to the 5th year of business have the same success rate as their larger competitors. So you can see, once you get past the first mile of the marathon, once you get past the Earth's gravitational pull when launching a rocket, and once you get past the first couple of years of being in business and making the mistakes and surviving them, your success rate is no worse, and no greater than your larger competitors. It does get easier, but you need to be committed to getting to that point. Next slide. Okay, about 4 or 5 years ago, I had the distinct pleasure of working with Reggie Jackson on a tweet chat of all things for a client of mine, and it was actually his 70th birthday. Quick funny story: the thing behind Reggie and I is a whiteboard, and we were in a conference room at a major conference, and so I, 5 minutes before he came, we wrote "Happy, birthday, Reggie," and he comes in and he looks at it and he smiles and he writes a nice note on it and he signs it Reggie Jackson. And I said to myself, great. Now, how the heck am I supposed to get this through the security line at the airport? It was a huge whiteboard. So, but Reggie and I had that time to spend with him alone before the tweet chat started. And I said to him that we were going to be talking about his classic car business, which is this burgeoning company, and he's really been successful with it. And I said to him, look, you had a Hall of Fame baseball career, which you did for many years. And now you have this burgeoning classic car company, and you're tremendously successful. What's your secret to success? And he just smiled, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, Brian, everything I do in life that has meaning to me starts with passion. So it's a burning desire to do something great. And he said, whenever I stumble, whenever I fall, I remind myself of why I started out on this journey in the first place. And it refuels me, it re-energizes me. And so for you, for everybody listening right now, what I'm hoping that you do is the information that we give you today, I hope you overlay it with your passion or your burning desire to do what you're doing right now. And so that it's kind of like this great 1-2 combination punch. Okay, let's get started. And this is actually, okay, so it was supposed to pop up 1, 2, 3, but it didn't, and that's okay. Think of this, there are 5 steps that I'm gonna give you right now to running a successful business. And for those of you who like sports, I'll use a sports analogy in it. We're right before the start of baseball, right? The baseball season. So think of the first 3 steps that I give you today as spring training. And then steps 4 and 5, that's the regular season. But the idea is that we're all, in 2018, we all want to win our own version of the World Series. So that's how I'm gonna present the next 5 steps. So right now we're in spring training, and step 1 actually has 2 parts, and it's called securing your foundation. Now I asked the question, what type of business owner are you? And 57% of you said you were entrepreneurs, 43% of you said you were small business owners. Now, I didn't give you the option of being a passionate business owner because I think that requires a little bit of explaining as to what it means to be a passionate business owner. But I want to start with small business owner. Now, a small business owner is somebody who sees work-life balance as being very important. They run what I typically call a lifestyle business. Now, this could be everything from a home-based business to a store on the main street in your town, a pizzeria, nail salon, restaurant. That small business owner is very happy with running their company. They don't want to have 3 restaurants, or they don't want to hire 15 or 20 employees. They love what they have right now, and they love to grow that business, certainly, and make more money from that. But in the end, they also like to have the weekends open where they coach their kids in sports or go out on their boat or go hiking or whatever it is. So that work-life balance is important to them. That portion of the U.S. economy is probably, of the small business market, is probably about 80%. I would say 80% of the market are small business owners. And the people who are listening today, 43% of you represented. So that's why I was kind of surprised by that number. But a small business owner will also look at every purchase that they make for their business as an expense. So the idea of replacing something with something new, whether it's technology or it's a pizza oven or something along those lines, they'll look at it and say, you know what, I think I can get by with what I have now, because they're saying that money's going to come right out of my pocket. At the other end of the spectrum is the entrepreneur. Now, John is a classic example. John Farrar, who is on with me now, is a classic example of an entrepreneur. He is growing his company. He grew Gold Mine, and he's growing his company Nimble now. He sees where he is now, and if 2 years from now he's still in the same spot, then he's done something tremendously wrong. He wants to add employees. He wants to grow his business. He wants to be international with it. So he is, in the truest sense of the word, an entrepreneur. They will see purchases in their companies as investments. So they have no problem saying, okay, I'll buy this new technology. I'll open this new location. I'll hire more employees, because it's all getting me to where I go. So that in this audience right now, that represents about 57% of you, which to me is a high number, because in the US economy, about 5% of all business owners are entrepreneurs. Now,
Brian, I have a theory on that.
Okay.
The numbers could be skewed because the people listening to this are Nimble users. And I believe Nimble users think differently. I believe the people that take the time out of their day to come and listen to a webinar like this,
yes,
are forward-thinking people that are willing to make the investments, that want to grow bigger because they have a passion, plan, and purpose in life. And that may be a reason why some of the numbers are skewed.
And that is an excellent point, John. And I 100% agree with you on that. That the people who are making investments to attend webinars or conferences or trade shows are definitely people who are interested in growing their company. So that's a great point. There are some people, though, in our group listening today, and a group that's now being identified. And I actually coined this word, so I'm taking credit for it, although I can't trademark it. But they're what I call passionate business owners. Now, this could be somebody who is a yoga enthusiast, right? A yoga instructor, or somebody who owns a restaurant, and or like a great chef. And their friends tell them, you should really open up your own yoga studio, or you should open up a restaurant. And so they do, because they're passionate about it. And it does extremely well. And then they, their friends and clients are saying, you should open up another restaurant location or another yoga studio, maybe closer to us. I'm sure people will come to it. And so they do. And so a lot of it is driven through a reactive nature, right? The passionate business owner is somebody who hasn't really defined their plan for their business. They're going with their gut instinct, and they're incredibly successful. These are the people that worry me the most. And because in business, you come to forks in the road, right? And a fork in the road could be open a new location. Now, a small business owner will always go left, meaning, you know what? I don't want a second location. That's just going to be a big headache for me. I'm happy with what I have. I also I don't want to spend the money on it. An entrepreneur will almost always go right, meaning an opportunity to grow my company? Yes. Now, an entrepreneur may not say yes to every fork in the road that they come to, but they'll make note of it. So, for example, an opportunity comes up to open a new location or hire more employees. And an entrepreneur might look at their cash flow and say, you know what, that might be a little risky for me right now, but I want to come and revisit this when my cash flow is better, or I've signed on a few more clients. But an entrepreneur is almost always likely to go right. It's the passionate business owner. And so for those of you who are nodding your head yes, listening to this, saying, I think I'm a passionate business owner, when you come to this fork in the road, you don't really know the long-term implications of going right or going left. It's easier to go left, to not expand your business, because it's something you don't have to deal with. But if you do decide to go right, open a new studio or a new restaurant, hire employees for that, make the investment in that, I've seen it where 6 months down the road, this thing becomes an albatross around your neck, and you're saying, wow, that was the worst decision I made, was to open that new location or launch a new product, because it's really killing my business. And so that's where it's really important to understand the map that you create for yourself, and that when you do come to these forks in the road, in advance what you're going to do. And forks in the road could be, as I've mentioned, opening a new location, hiring new employees, investing in technology, taking outside investments to grow your company. So write those down, write down the forks in the road, and know which way you would go in advance. So when the opportunity presents itself, you don't have to stop your business and try and make a decision in 6 minutes that's going to have a very long-term effect on how you run your business.
Brian, do you have
So
examples of typical forks in the roads?
Well, I gave them. So yeah. So like somebody who has a yoga studio, and all the their clients are saying, oh, you should open up a second location, here, or you should, here's this great piece of technology that's going to really expand your company and grow it, and it's $15,000.
Yeah.
And so somebody says, okay, I'll take it, and that new location's a bust. You're not getting so those are the decisions that people will make reactively or through a gut instinct that really didn't think about the long-term implications of their business. So this is part one of step one. We're still in spring training. Okay. Part two of securing your foundation of the type of business owner you are is, and this is a question I ask my clients, every client. Those are the first two questions I ask. What type of business owner are you, and how do you wake up in the morning? And here's the thing, John, and I will give your nimble users a real pat on the back, because 22% of them said we're reactive, 67% said proactive, and 11% said predictive. Here's the national average according to Brian Moran. About 85% of people are reactive, 14% are proactive, and 1% are predictive. That's really rarefied air. And let me explain. When you wake up in the morning and you're getting out of bed, the first thing you do is grab your smartphone and you see what's come up on it, and the emails and the text messages. And if you're a business owner, you're seeing the same fire pop up today that popped up yesterday, that popped up last week. And I've had clients say to me, I should have just been a fireman, because all I do is put out the same fires every single day. That is a very reactive approach to business. You don't understand the root cause of the fire. It could be cash flow. So, the first thing you do is you check your balance in your bank, and, you're saying to yourself, geez, how am I going to hit payroll on Friday? And this is a problem that occurs time and again. Or it could be a problem employee, or it could be a late paying customer. And so instead of identifying the root cause and fixing it, and that would be a proactive approach, you're just trying to put out this fire today. Proactive people, and the reactive people, by the way, are the ones that I worry about. I worry about them the same way I worry about the passionate business owners when they come to forks in the road. A proactive person is somebody who I says spends time in the clouds of their business. So the reactive person is in the weeds, right? You see 3 feet in front of you. It's all about execution, putting out fires. You can't see past a couple of feet. A proactive person will spend at least a couple of hours a week. Maybe it's a Friday morning breakfast, or a Monday morning breakfast, or it's time over the weekend. And they'll take that 20,000-foot view of their business so they can see where they are now, where they've been, and more importantly, where they're going. And so they'll look at it and they'll say, why do I keep having these problems with late paying customers? Or why do I keep having a problem with the same employee? And they'll look at it and they'll say, these are the root causes of my fires. Let me put them out. And I'll get into why in a little bit, why you should never or rarely spend time in the clouds alone, why you need to bring your key advisors and important people in your business into the cloud with you. But that's what a proactive person does. So they spend time in the clouds, then they go back down in the weeds, but it's like they have a map. They know where to go, where the pitfalls are coming up ahead, and how to get to their goals. The predictive person who wakes up in the morning, like I said, that's the 1%ers. They see not only what's going to happen today, but they see what's going to happen next week and next year. So when they come to these forks in the road, they don't even slow down. Like a reactive person will go one way in the fork of the road, and then 3 months later, 6 months later, they're backing the car up because they went the wrong way. A proactive person will slow down when they come to the fork in the road, and they'll say, okay, here comes the fork. I'm slowing down. I'm analyzing the situation. I'm gonna pull the trigger now. Okay, I'm gonna go right. A predictive person never takes their foot off the pedal. They have done the what if scenarios. They've done the contingency planning. They've got their financing in place. They're moving at 90 miles an hour, and the fork in the road is exactly as they expected it. That is, like I said, that is really those are truly the most successful people that I've ever met, and I put them in the top 1%. What do you think, John?
Well, I think you have to be able to perceive the future in order to take advantage of it. Imagine me as a sales rep in the field, running my life on a day timer and a spreadsheet in 1989, trying to be successful in sales and relationships. And I saw that networks were the future, networks and notebooks and distributed computing. And we needed a relationship platform with sales and marketing to do that. And I predicted that and built Goldmine. And then with Nimble, I started using social 2006, 7, and 8, and saw how social was going to change the way we work, play, buy, and sell, and saw we needed to leverage social to building relationships and communicate with the new way customers will buy. And I built Nimble. But I'm going to share a little future prediction here right now with you. I really believe that that Microsoft has changed as a company, that they've evolved into the cloud and they've changed the way they do business, and they're more collaborative, and that customers still trust Microsoft and use Microsoft products and buy from Microsoft resellers, but Microsoft resellers are selling plumbing to plumbers, not infrastructure, not solutions to decision makers. And so we are predicting that SaaS vendors are going to start leveraging resellers and selling to that larger audience that hadn't adopted the cloud yet. And so we started a partnership with Microsoft 5 years ago, which has given fruit to Microsoft signing up as a reseller of Nimble and bundling with Office 365 through their resellers. And I saw that happening 5 years ago, and other SaaS ISVs were saying, John, you're crazy. Microsoft's dead, and resellers can't sell cloud products. But we just signed a deal with Tech Data that's now distributing Nimble worldwide to hundreds of thousands of resellers.
That's perfect. I completely agree with that. All right, we're moving on. Step 2 is creating your GPS plan. Now we're still in the preseason mode. Okay, this right now is you've secured your foundation, and now I want you to have. Normally people call this a business plan. I call it a GPS plan because if done correctly, it will take you to your destination in the amount of time that you expected, so you achieve your goal in the allotted time. This is a living, breathing document, and it requires that you as the business owner be accountable. So this is, December 31st, I sit down with you at breakfast. I ask you a simple question. Did you achieve your strategic goal? So the answer is either yes or no. Usually it's a revenue number. It could be a profit number. It could be a number of new accounts. But everything that you do this year in business should lead to that goal. So it's a simple question. When somebody comes along with an opportunity, you ask yourself, is this going to get me closer to my strategic goal? If the answer is yes, you do it. If the answer is no, you don't. But think of this as kind of like your World Series moment. This is how I'm going to win the World Series. So how detailed is your GPS plan? And so let's get into this a little bit. As you start to put together your GPS plan, when you think about it, when you use your smartphone, it says you want to go to a destination you've never been to before. Your maps says it's 6 hours and 22 minutes away. It's 411 miles, and there are 36 different steps that you need to take, and we're going to cross 3 states. How amazing would it be if we could do the same thing with our business? So, okay, I want to achieve $1 million in revenue this year. That's my strategic goal. I did 800,000 last year. So I'm going to bump it by 25%. Your detailed plan needs to say how much of that is repeat business, how much of it is new business, how much of it so of the 800,000, if you say I'm going to lose, I know that I'll probably lose about $100,000 in business this year. I'll renew 700,000, but I need to find 300,000 in new business. And so the more detailed your plan, the better your chances are for success, because you're going to review this plan every single month. So at the end of March, you look at this plan, you sit down with your team. You don't want to do it alone. You want to sit down with people who have played a key role in your business. And you say, okay, so at the end of March, this is where we were supposed to be. We're about 10% under goal right now. Let's talk about what happened. Well, this new piece of business didn't come in. Okay, great. How are we going to replace that business? We need to add something so that we can stay on track for our goal. Or maybe this piece of business that came in didn't come in as much as we thought. So it really does hold people to be accountable for what they laid out. I have seen in my 25 plus years in business, I've seen way too many people create business plans in November of the prior year and then just stick them in a filing cabinet, never to see the light of day until the next November, when they open up their cabinet, they dust off the plan, and they just cross out 1 year and they put in the next year. That's somebody who is motivated for success, but they're not committed to it. So the more detailed your plan, the better your chances are for success. And then the third point of creating your GPS plan is playing the what if game. So as we all know, business can turn on a dime. And when it does, it's rarely for the better. You want to survive getting knocked down. It helps minimize your downtime, and it helps you get closer to your goal. So what are some of the what ifs? What if we lose our largest customer? What if I lose my best salesperson? What if our building burns down? And the interesting thing is, I did this the what if game with one of my clients. She ran a paint studio for kids and adults, and I said to her, what if your building burned down? And she laughed and she says, don't put the jinx on me. But we went through that scenario. Sure enough, 4 months later, her building burned down, the building that she had her business in. She got a call at 3 o'clock in the morning, said, the building is on fire. She rallied all of her employees. She knew that there was a place across the street that was for rent. And, to her good fortune, it was actually less per month, and it was bigger, and it had parking in the back. That she got the call at 3 a.m. At 7:30, her new location was completely set up. She literally did not miss a day of business, and it was the start of camp for the kids in her studio. And she said, if I hadn't done that, I don't know what I would have done. So if I hadn't played that what if game. So write that down. Write down the what if game, and ask all the questions that you're afraid to ask in business, because we do hate asking this, as if somehow it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that they'll come true, but they won't. Because when you write down the answer to the question and it actually does happen, refer back to your plan. And you say, okay, what if my largest client goes out of business and takes my receivables with them? Here's my backup for that. Or if the nor'easter that hits the New York City area today, if that causes power outages and my customers are delayed paying me because of it, it's my retail business. I have a backup plan so that I don't get put behind the 8 ball. The third step, and this is the last part of preseason, is defining the competitive landscape. Now, this is something that when I talk to, again, my clients, or I talk to business owners in general, and they tell me how unique their product is or unique their service is, and I say to them, well, who's your competition? And invariably they say, oh, we don't have any competition. You know, what we do is just so unique. And to me, that's just ignorant. Everybody has competition. And so what I need you to do, if you don't recognize who your competitors are, what product or service are your customers buying in the absence of you being there? So, you know, before you introduce your product or your service to the world, what were your customers buying? That is your competition. Or if you are in the B2B world and you lose out on a proposal, do you ever ask, well, who did you buy? You know, who are you using instead of me? It's not that the company simply didn't do anything. They chose somebody, they just didn't choose you. So it's so important to know who you're competing against. Because as you're listening to me right now on this webcast, and I don't want you to leave just yet, but there are other companies right now who are gunning for your largest customer, or, you know, trying to introduce a product that's going to compete against your product or service. So you need to know who they are. And if you're in the business where you do submit proposals and you win, that's fantastic. You need to say, you know, why did you pick us? What was our unique selling proposition? Was it convenience? Was it price? Was it customer service? And who did we compete against? That's like the honeymoon phase in business. So that you know when you're talking to your clients, then they're more than happy to share that information with you, because now they've married you. You know, they've chosen you over everybody else. So take advantage of that opportunity. And even if you lost the business, say, I appreciate the opportunity to pitch the business. I want to come back stronger next year. Can I ask you a couple of questions? Who did you choose and why did you choose them over us? What could we have done better? Those are very smart questions, and they will make you stronger. And the client who did not choose you will, in most cases, appreciate that. But let's get back to your competition. So what are their weaknesses? You know, it's hard to hit somebody in a boxing match if they're in the dark, if there are no lights on and you can't see the person who's across the ring from you. So you need to understand who they are and what their weaknesses are. And there's a line in a movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger gave it. I think it was Alien or something like that. But he was chasing this alien animal, and he noticed on a leaf these droplets of, you know, these green shiny droplets, and it was apparently the alien's blood. And he looked up and smiled, and he said, "If it bleeds, we can kill it." And what he was saying was, Predator. There you go. Thank you. And so that's a great line. So how well do you know your competition? Not only do you know them and how well you know them, but what is your plan to beat them? See, you can't offer the same strategy for every competitor. You know, if Walmart moves into your town, you can't say, okay, you know, I'm still going to beat them on price. You know, I beat everybody on price. We're the lowest price brand in town. If Walmart moves into your town, or Amazon, that's a race to zero. They will beat you, and they have the resources to beat you. So you need to change your strategy when facing that competitor. You need to say, buy us on relationship. So, and this is where you talk to your customers. You say, for every 100 customers, you could list them in an Excel sheet. And right next to it, why do they buy from us? What's the one word that they use to buy from us? Is it convenience, quality, customer service, price? And what you'll see is, out of the 100 people, you might get 5 or 6 different reasons. And that's really important to understand in a competitive landscape. So that when you look at your competition, you say, I beat this person on convenience, I beat this company on price, and I beat this group on quality. So examine that. And that's a lot of work to do in the preseason, and I realize it, but don't think you need to get it done overnight. You know, start the process now of defining what type of business owner you are, how you wake up in the morning, and your competitive landscape, and make, daily improvements on each one. So if you're reactive, learn what it will take to become proactive. If you are a small business owner, but you want to become a passionate business owner, right? At least you've identified yourself and what kind of decisions you're going to make when you come to these forks in the road. And you get to know your competition. Okay, step 4. And we only have 2 steps left, and then we'll get to your questions. Execute and adapt. So this is the regular season. The games are real and they count. All right. And for most of you who are already in business and running your companies, this is today. All right. So that preseason work, if you haven't done it, at least take the next 30 days to solidify your foundation so that come April and May, you're operating on a much stronger foundation. You have your GPS plan, execute it. So if you don't have a plan set up now, take the time to figure out where your business is coming from and how you're going to get to your goal, and then follow that plan like a living, breathing document. So you execute it. You wake up in a proactive mood to execute your plan, and you don't let these fires slow you down. You know where the potholes are in the road ahead. So like you're following your cash flow, if you have a seasonal business, when the down months are going to be, and you're planning accordingly. However, we all know that things rarely go according to plan. So when something happens and you get a flat tire, what's your plan B? What's your backup plan to that? The Hartford did a study one time, and it was businesses that had they've been dealing with natural disasters, hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, nor'easters, and it was, I think the response was like a third of all businesses that were affected by these natural disasters never opened their doors again. They didn't plan for it. And when it hit, they were just out of business. And those businesses that did reopen their doors, less than half of them were still in business 2 years later. So they never really recovered from it. That's how important this plan is for your company. You have to know when and how to pivot your business. So looking at something and saying, not just by yourself, but you have your key members of your team and your business advisors, and something comes up, you say, is this an aberration, or do we need to then pivot our business? So it could be a new competitor opens their doors. What does that mean for my plan? How can I still hit my strategic goal now that somebody's going to be taking my business away? How much of that are they going to take away? Do I need to change my strategy, my approach? Should I focus more on e-commerce? Those types of proactive questions will allow you to not only survive, but hit your strategic goal at the end of the year. The last step in starting and running a successful business and winning the World Series at the end of 2018 is knowing that you cannot go it alone. So I'll ask each and every one of you to write this down. Who are your key advisors? Who are the people either in your company, or your lawyer, or your financial advisor, or your accountant that help you make some of the bigger decisions that you have to face in business? And what I want you to do is, when you set up this monthly meeting in the cloud so that you're going to look at your business from 20,000 feet, invite them to join you, because those are extra sets of eyes and ears that will see things that you might miss. And I highly recommend that you have this meeting, whether it's a conference call or a breakfast meeting, and share with them your GPS plan. And you tell them, this is where we have been, this is where we are now, and this is where we'd like to go. Do you see anything that I'm not seeing in the plan? The other thing you're going to need to do is learn how to trust and delegate. If you have a company with employees, it's so hard to make the decisions, every important decision on your own. If you really do want to grow your business and take it to the next level, you're going to learn how to trust and delegate some of those responsibilities to the key people in your company. It will also help you retain your best employees because they see how important they are to your company. And what I have found in a lot of small and entrepreneurial companies, that empowerment of trust and responsibility is almost as important as compensation in many cases. They want to feel like they're playing an integral role in the success of your business. So learn to trust and delegate. And lastly, no one wins by themselves. So if the opportunity comes along for you to pay it forward or pay it back to the people who've helped you achieve your success in business, by all means. And I think we all understand that the idea of building your network and taking the time to help others, and maybe you become a key advisor in their company in some way, shape, or form, that is always going to come back to benefit you down the road. And so with that, I'm going to give you my final thoughts, and then we are going to give you your special offer, and we're going to open it up for questions. As Reggie Jackson said, it all starts with passion, right? Everything that he's ever done in his life that has had meaning to him started with a burning desire to do something great. If you take the time to really incorporate the 5 steps that I gave you into your company, starting today, and you do it with passion and in a proactive manner, I can't imagine that you won't be successful and that you won't achieve your strategic goal at the end of 2018. In fact, I hope you take me up on this offer, that I think that if you miss your strategic goal for whatever reason this year, it'll be much closer than if you didn't take up these 5 steps. So that's kind of it's not a guarantee. I'm not going to be Joe Namath on the Jets, but it's my promise to you that the potholes that you hit along the way that slow you down will be minimal compared to if you don't proactively think about your business. And this is a quote, I'll leave you with this, that I've had for many, many years. If you really want something bad enough, you will find a way. And if you don't, you will find an excuse. And with that, I want to thank you for taking the time this hour to spend with John and me talking about ways to successfully start and run your business. And here's my offer. I love helping business owners. And so for the next 30 days, I want you to reach out to me, whether it's on LinkedIn or Twitter or my email, which I've supplied here to you. Mention that you were part of this webinar, and for the next 30 days, you can ask me any question you want about your business or about something that I covered on this webinar, and I will be happy to help you. John, do you want to talk about what Nimble is providing?
Well, first off, Brian, I just want to thank you for your coaching, because you bring to us years of experience of teaching millions of small business owners how to achieve their passion, plan, and purpose in life. And I want to encourage all of you, while you have Brian here, ask questions, because we have a few minutes left to answer those questions. And then I just want to add a little bit of support to what you were saying, in that I really believe that most people fail in life because they don't have the 3 Ps, passion, plan, and purpose. Some people might have passion, but they don't have a plan. And if you don't build a plan, you're never really going to get anywhere. You're just going to wander. And most people, I think, Brian, in life wander, which makes it easier for the people that have a plan to potentially achieve it. But if you don't make that plan a purpose, your purpose, on a daily basis, by putting it on your refrigerator, put it on your mirror, referring it to it on a daily basis, checking yourself against your goals, adjusting to the point where it is your burning thing you think about every day. What am I doing to get there? No, you may not get to the top of Everest, but you're going to get someplace between here and there, and that journey will be priceless. And I'm still looking for questions. Please, I want to see some questions out there. So ask some questions. I want to tell you another thing about pivoting. So Goldmine started out as an accounting software program for networks, Elon Accounting. And we were doing okay. We had about 50,000 a month in revenue, but I couldn't manage the relationships with the prospects and the resellers that I was signing up. And so I basically designed this thing for my co-founder, Alon, to program for me. And when we went to the networking shows to sign up new resellers for the accounting program, people just wanted to look at Goldmine, and we had to decide, what are we going to put our efforts to? And so in life, you may think you're starting out to do one thing, but life might present you with opportunities, and you need to be present and aware enough to see those doors open and walk through them, which I think aligns exactly to what you're saying.
That's absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more, John. It looks like we did get a couple of questions. You want me to just read them off and we can answer?
Yeah, you go ahead. Pick them up.
So Deb writes, I'm a real estate agent about to open my own company. How do I choose key advisors? I have 3 now. Do I need more? Deb, that's a great question. What I look for in key advisors are people with complementary skills to mine. So, I might have a lawyer. I might, if you're opening up a real estate company, I might choose a builder, or maybe a loan officer, or somebody in that space who's complementary to what you do. And you could also find people in your town who have the finger on the pulse of what's happening, so that they look at your business from different angles. So, and do you need more? You only need the people who are going to really understand your business and provide active and helpful advice to it. So 3 could be fine, but think of the people that you work with on a regular basis that you're comfortable with, who you trust, who see your business from a different point of view. And so let's see, David asked about the advisor team. How do you pick them? Sometimes I revert to people who tell me what to do when I'm looking for advice, and I pick the wrong people. Oh, David, you know what? I applaud you for venturing out in to help find people to help you for your business. Again, it goes back to understanding people who have complementary skill sets. If your strength is sales, maybe you want somebody who is a social media expert, or maybe somebody who's a solid financial advisor, or an attorney, or somebody who's in your industry but in a different perspective. And again, somebody you trust, and somebody who you can also help. Because when it comes to advisors, it's very different than like an official board of directors. Advisors are there to help you with your company, and maybe they have a vested interest in your growth because they're one of your business partners. And they could be a vendor, they could be a customer, anyone who you're willing to let in, under the hood of the car and see what you're doing, it can be viewed as an advisor. Let's see.
One thing I want to point out for advisors, Brian, is you need to treat them like a garden. You need to communicate on a regular basis so that they feel like they're part of your journey. And when you do communicate, let's say quarterly or monthly or whatever the cycle is, put in some asks in there for them. Let them know what you might seek from them, because people love to help. They just need to be asked. And if they feel like they're adding value, they're going to add more value as long as you communicate and then give them the feedback that they need.
Yeah, there seems to be, too, a number of questions about the board of advisors, which I love, because that to me is one of the key secrets to running a successful company. It's so hard to do it on your own. So somebody, Bob asks, well, how diverse should your number and types of advisors be? Great question. Think of diversity. That is if your company is, has an advisory board and all the people are just like you, and they all say yes to everything, that's not an advisory board. That's like poker night. That's not going to help you in your business. If your business targets, let's say, the Gen Z market or millennials, You need to have millennials and Gen Z on your advisory board. If you're for I can't remember who it was, Deb, who was going to open up a real estate agent company. You know what? Find somebody who's influential in the town and, a homeowner, and add them to your board and talk about, ways that we can help people in this town find their dream homes at affordable prices, and that we really take a unique approach to it. Why do you want to have that person on your board? Because they're more likely to then tell all their friends about how proactive you are in your new company and about how great it is. So,
and I have a tip for Deb as far as advisors. The people who are connected with homeowners and give them advice are the best people to connect with. They're trusted advisors. And there's a few people like people that help with internal or external remodeling, landscape designers, handymen even, because these people are in touch with people and know when transitions are going to happen within those neighborhoods. So I think that is it's a tip I've learned because my wife's sort of in and around that business. And then Tim has a question: are most advisors paid? And I could just share from our experience, we do have an agreement with advisors because you are opening up your heart and soul and details of your business. So there has to be an understanding of what that is. And then you should reward them. And we do that with shares at Nimble.
Right. Tim, it's a great question. You can, even if it's a nominal amount of money, or it could be, a meal. If you are asking people to take time out of their business to help you with your business, you should at least offer it. It doesn't have to be a tremendous amount of money, but it should be something. And let's see. How can we improve sales? Daphne asked, how can we improve sales? Daphne, that's a great question. And that really comes down to, again, your GPS plan and looking at your competition. If you're improving sales, here's the question you have to ask yourself. Am I reaching new customers with sales? Like, am I getting sales from new customers, or am I getting increasing sales from my existing customers, or am I taking away business from my competition? So that's how I look at it. So let's say you sold 100 units of your product and you want to sell 150 units next month. The question is, are you going to sell more units to the same people? Are you going to try and expand your market by introducing new people to your product? Or are you targeting the competition and saying, I'm going to steal business away from my competitors, and so that my messaging is going to be very focused? You've tried them, now try us and see why we're better. That's one of the ways that you can improve sales, by being very proactive in your approach to the process, and then understanding that you set a strategic goal for next month when it comes to sales and you track it. You can't just set it and forget it.
I have a couple tips on improving sales. I think that if you've been in business for a while, figure out what is the persona of the people that naturally adopt your products and services the most, the best, and the longest. And then go out and look in your funnel and find people that look like them, and then go out and find new people that look like them. Also, go back to your existing customers and ask for referrals and additional business. And I think that by understanding who's naturally being successful with your products and services, and going out and trying to find new people like them, and then getting a tool that helps you to be organized in and around these processes, that definitely can't help but increase sales.
Yeah, totally agree. Let's see. We have, Sally asks, is there a template for making a business plan? Sally, feel free to reach out to me offline. My email address, Brian@smallbusinessedge. I'll help you create what I call your GPS plan. Don't call it a business plan, call it a GPS plan, because if done correctly, it's going to take you where you want to go. But a good GPS plan will have a strategic goal. So what is, on December 31st, 2018, where do you want to be with your company? And so whether that's sales or that's profit or that's number of new accounts, it's usually a specific and measurable number. Your GPS plan is going to show you how to get from where you are today, March 21st, to where you want to be December 31st. So it's, your existing business, new business. You're going to look at things like social media and marketing as an overlay onto your GPS plan. So I can help you discuss what needs to go into a successful GPS plan. And if you write it up, I'm happy to look at it and tweak it for you. But once you do that, you have to review it every single month so that at the end of March, you hold yourself accountable to the number that you said you would be at the end of March, because you're going to set up monthly milestones between now and December. You don't want to simply say, hey, I want to sell 1,000 units this year of my product and not look at it each month and say, okay, where am I? How close am I to my goal? You need to have goals each month and say, well, I was supposed to sell 100 this month. I only sold 85. What happened? And I need to then transfer that 15 over to April. And I need to hit that number in April if I'm going to hit my year-end goal. If you simply put it in a filing cabinet, come December 30th, when you break it out, you're going to say, wow, I can't believe I said I would hit 1,000 units. I'm only at 300. So you see my point of it being a living, breathing document. How are we doing, John?
Well, I think we're doing good. I think we have time for one more question. There's a question from Sonia here. I want to launch a business, but I have too many ideas. How do I narrow it down? Is there a tool to evaluate them and determine which one has the biggest potential?
Absolutely. And Sonia, if you want to reach out to me offline, I'm happy to actually walk through the ideas with you to figure out which one is the one that's right for you. In some cases, Sonia, it could be that you have one main idea, your company, and as a subset, maybe you offer different services, and those ideas that you have become the services within your company or products within your company. So, and you could start by launching one service or one product, get that up and running, get it self-sustaining, and then you launch the next one and then the next one. So, let's talk offline so that you can give me some more specifics on it, but I'm happy to look at it with you and see how we can get you as a new business.
Brian, there's a theory amongst technology startups about the minimally viable product. Now, imagine if you had an idea for a product and you spent a year or, God forbid, 5 years created it before you brought it to the market. And you brought it to the market and you found that there was no traction for that product. But then imagine a different route, that you took a simple idea of your base product and you brought it to the market in a matter of months, and you iterated with customers as they adopted to your product, and then dance based off their feedback and then see if there was any traction for that. And you might actually be able to do that if you have the bandwidth with a few different ideas simultaneously, just to see which ones can gain some traction. But I think that many people spend too much time on one thing and don't iterate it enough, or a few different things, in order to determine which one's going to have not only traction with the market, but the thing they're passionate about. Because Brian, imagine if you did something the rest of your life and you hated doing it.
Yeah. I've had jobs like that, John, and that's why I run my own company. But your point is an excellent one. So for anybody who is right now in the startup phase of their business, here is probably the single biggest point I can give you today, and that is prove your concept as quickly as possible. And by that, I mean, get somebody to write you a check for your product or service. And that is stage one. So whatever product or service you have, even if it's in the development phase and you say, I'm not going to have this ready for a couple of months, you're testing the market, you're seeing if there's an appetite for your product or service, then say to people, you know what, I can offer you a charter rate or I can help you, or you can help me customize the product or service that I'm going to be offering. Meaning, I'm going to let you in under the hood, but I need you to make a financial commitment to it before that happens. And that is really a solid indicator as to how viable your product is. If people don't have to buy your product, they will tell you it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Right? They're going to say, oh, this is awesome. I can't wait till it comes out. I'm definitely going to buy it. And you say, you know what? I got an idea. I will give you access to this product or service for 30% off if you pay for it now. And it will help me, with development or whatever, yada, yada. And then see how they react. If they say, here's a check, I'm all in. That's when you know you have something. But if they say, I'd love to, but I don't really have the money right now, or I'm not in a position to take advantage of it, then you got to find out why. Like, why won't you, if you think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, why won't you make the investment now? And I'm not pressuring you. I just need to understand what your thinking is, because you represent my market. So prove your concept as quickly as possible. That's stage one. And for those of you interested, stage two is sustainability. So your product is actually self-sustaining, where you don't have to invest outside money into it. Stage three is growth. Where do you want to go? So you're the rocket ship that's left the Earth's gravitational pull, and now you can go anywhere you want to with your company.
Brian, it looks like we're running out of time. I just want to thank everybody who stayed 12 minutes past the top of the hour to cover some of these questions. You have a wealth of information in Brian Moran, and he has opened up his doors to you all for the next 30 days. Take advantage of that. It's Brian at smallbusinessedge.com. He's an incredible resource. Connect with him. He loves to help people grow, as do I. And please connect with me. I'm John at nimble.com. Let me know how I can help you achieve your passion plan and purpose in life. And for those of you that aren't using Nimble today, please sign up. Check it out. We have free prospector credits for anybody that signs up based off this webinar. And there's webinars every day from Nimble that help you to understand how to use Nimble to help you achieve your goals in life. And lastly, Brian, thanks for joining me today. I look forward to hooking up face-to-face next week in New York. Hopefully the weather's not too bad.
Oh, that's going to be great. John, thank you. And I want to thank everybody for taking time to join us today. This was fantastic.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.